Eagles
are sending CJ Gardner-Johnson to the Texans for a guard, Kenyon Green.
Oh, wow. I guess the Eagles didn't think he was a leader like he thought he was.
Nope. All right, so let's react.
That's crazy.
Wow, a lot to react to here. So can I add to this? We have now lost 4 starters from the best defense in Eagles history. So, who had that, Kyle? Who had the report on that? Is that a Schefter thing?
That was Rap Sheet.
Okay, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport says the Eagles are trading CJ Gardner-Johnson to the Houston Texans for Kenyon Green. So that tells me two things. One, Hugh, you might be right that they didn't think the leader thing, but also that tells me that it's very likely Mekhi Becton's not coming back. They just traded for Mekhi Becton's replacement at guard.
Kyle, I need you to do me a favor.
What's that, Hugh?
Be on crash out watch.
Oh, no.
Be on, because I'm telling you this. Be on crash out.
Maybe CJGJ's notifications, put those on, because it's going to be something here. All right.
So the official terms are it's Green and a 5th in 2026 for CJ and a 2026 6th. So not much moving in the late picks,
but
picks really it's
kind of even out.
Kenyon Green was a first round draft pick.
But look, I think it's worth noting that other than Laramie Tunsil, who did go yesterday to the Commanders, that line was the problem last year for the Texans, right? Like I can't give you chapter and verse on how good Kenyon Green is a guard. I do know that the Texans line last year took a step back and didn't block well in front of CJ Stroud. So Hugh, what's your reaction here?
No, I'm not going to tell you my real reaction.
Well, that's what we want.
No, because I don't feel like.
Excuse me?
I don't feel like going through that today.
That's your job.
I'm just saying.
What do you got for us?
I'm just saying.
You got a take. Let me hear it.
I do.
What do you got?
You're not going to like it.
That doesn't matter. I don't like what everyone says to me. I put a smile on.
You know where I'm going with this? Can anybody guess?
Am I going to like your response?
No, probably not.
Go ahead. Oh, wait a second.
Defense
is a luxury.
Oh, not a necessity.
They just traded a starter off the best defense in Eagles history for a guard.
Hey, y'all better start listening to me. I know. Listen,
cut his mic. Cut his mic.
I'm not gonna. Wait a minute.
I can't wait to see everyone's reaction when this defense takes a big step back next year.
And it will.
This isn't funny. Our defense is getting worse by the second.
You think this is funny?
No. It just makes me right.
This is a joke.
It just makes me right.
It does not.
Why not?
If the defense falls back to 15th in the league, you're right?
Yeah, that makes you dead wrong.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Okay, wait a minute. First of all, don't attack me personally. It's not me. It's just that I read the tea leaves.
No, I will attack you personally. Go ahead.
But how we told you we're going to try to make it run. We're going to make it run, right? He did say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said bear with him.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens.
He said bear with him. I got a text last night from somebody saying, the defense is the reason why we won. I get that.
Yes, they had the best defense.
And I am not disputing that. I'm not disputing that. Mm-hmm. But they were the most expendable. They're the most expendable.
Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
We're going to find out because if they're the most expendable, they should be able to replicate it with cheaper guys, and
that's what they're going to try to do.
And you know what? I'm going to give the Eagles and you, Hugh Douglas, a little grace on this. I think it was probably unlikely they'd be the number one defense again, even if they kept everyone. So I am willing to meet you in the middle with this. They can get rid of all the players they want and you could tell me defense luxury. But if they're not a top 5 to 7 defense, then I'm annoyed. Right? Like that. Okay, if you want to shuffle things around and still finish top 5, then you know what? You're smart. Vix, you're smarter than me. Howie, you're smarter than me. If they fall back to 10th or worse, then I will say, wait a second. You had all these good players and you moved on. So, by the way, just quickly, as I want to see now if everyone's worried. 215-592-9494. These are not nobodies. We just got rid of in one day. Here are the following percentage of the snaps these guys played. Again, these aren't nobodies. 86% of the snaps, CJGJ. Slay, 66% of the snaps. Sweat, 59. Milton, 47. Isaiah, 31. So I would say CJ, Slay, Sweat, and Milton played starter snaps, and they're gone. 4 of the 11 starters on last year's team out of here.
Yeah.
On the best Eagles defense of all time.
We saw what happened the last time we let CJ go.
Well, last year, it was funny. It was around this time, Birds Town Hall. I remember Elliot laughing at me because I said CJ's a winner. And it was like a safety's a winner. Everywhere that guy goes, his defenses are good. From the Saints to the Eagles to the Lions, back to here.
And guess what they did?
And they all move on from him. I mean, he must be as big of a pain in the neck as he seems.
And they said that didn't matter. That's telling. You know, we go through this, and Vic Fangio looked at that and said, you know what? I can upgrade. We could upgrade at this position. We didn't get the play that we wanted to from that position.
So
like that's basically what you're saying.
Well, here's a question.
We can upgrade there.
Question I have is, well, two things off of the trade that Kyle just told us about. One, is Sidney Brown ready? Because I would think he's the next man up at safety.
Mm-hmm. He's a hard hitter.
Okay.
I know Ike really likes him.
And I think we all were excited for him, but he got hurt and he barely played last year because he was rehabbing and coming back from the injury. That's one. And two, is this Kenyon Green going to be good? I mean, it's similar to Becton, like a year later, right? It's a guy that has not lived up to the billing of being a first-round pick, and now they bring him in.
The sneaky part of this that Hugh is ignoring with this defense luxury thing is that they're now letting an offensive guard go. I mean, they're getting one back. Right. We don't know how good this guy is, but the Texans also just traded away a guard. They traded away an offensive tackle. They might get CJ Stroud killed, by the way.
Well, they're probably looking, like a lot of these moves are being made because a lot of them are probably money-saving moves. I think of the one from Grady Jarrett because I think his number was like $14 million, and they're moving on from their quarterback, and they're going to try to start another quarterback. Yep. So they're purging their roster. They're trying to save some money in certain places.
Well, so that's a good point. Hugh, I'm glad you brought that up. At 215-592-9494. We'll get back to the phone lines here in a second. But two things that are really interesting about this particular trade, and then just in general the last day or so of Eagles football and what's happened. So we have this thing we say Howie season, right? Howie's great with the cap. He figures everything out. Hugh, I'm starting to have a theory the Eagles have more money issues than we think they do.
Yeah, because that's kind of telling.
So two quick notes. One, Mike Garafolo just put this out. CJ Gardner-Johnson was due $8.5 million this year and $11.5 next year, okay? Kenyon Green, the lineman they're bringing back in this trade, only gets $2.8 million. So they just swapped out $8.5 million for $2.8. It's a savings of about $6 million, in terms of the salaries for this year. And then yesterday, and this really caught my attention because it's so, well, first of all, I still think he's pretty plugged in what goes on around here, and he knows Jeffrey Lurie so well. But Hugh, yesterday, I saw this and it caught my attention, and it was Joe Banner. Joe Banner had a tweet yesterday about the Eagles and about their salary cap situation and how maybe they are up against it more than we think. This is what he said yesterday. Quote, not a criticism, they won the Super Bowl, but the Eagles' cap situation is more challenging than it has been in a long time. They re-signed the player they most cared about. He's speaking about Bond. But Hugh, we always seem to think Howie's got it and the money never matters, right? Maybe that's not as true as we think it is. The money might matter more than we think, and if they're moving off of players for money, that makes them more like everybody else than way above everybody else.
And to be honest, when you win the Super Bowl, you do a hard reset. Now, the team that was the outlier in all this was the Patriots because they kept the quarterback. He didn't take up all of the salary cap.
He took below market money.
Yeah. And then the point that I was making the other day, when you look at that defense, they got a lot of times, they got guys off the garbage heap. They got guys who probably were at their last stop and they played well, but offensively, like Tom Brady was that dude, man. He was that dude. I mean, I can't take anything away from him. And I know that people talk about the receivers that he played with and everything. He was just different. And it allowed them to do things like that. Eagles still have some moves they can make. Hell, if you want to free up some cap space, it's one big cap hit that you can free up some money, especially this year.
Quarterback.
Yeah,
well, we discussed
break bread
that.
with him.
Well,
break bread with him.
You could move the money down the line.